tragic accidents just happen all the time in Carroll County. I'm just saying. It's a very, very unlucky place to live. They dropped the charges because it was accidental. You don't accidentally run over somebody and back up and try to do it again. Shh. Let's start from the beginning as investigative reporters, right? So you would ask the questions who, what, where, when, and why. Should be easy, right? Of course it is. Yes, I know, you're innocent until proven guilty, but what good does that do you if you are not alive? Well, hello, my silky friends. How are you doing tonight? I've missed talking to you the last couple of days. I really wish I could go live every night, but sometimes I am just tired after work, or I have to get up early, or I have nothing to say. If I don't have anything to say, I just don't get on here because y'all don't need any more just talking heads, right? Hello. Let me start from the beginning. Y'all know what happened when I started this stream. Hiawatha had made a comment and I answered it. I took a screenshot of it. I got a message. YouTube rejected your comment. This usually means they think it's spam. I was just agreeing with what Hiawatha said. Like, what on earth? I can't even comment on my own channel. What the crap? Anyway, this is what Hiawatha said. And we are going to look at this right at the beginning because there is breaking, news. You may have heard it. I heard it like a long time ago today, but I didn't want to go live until now. Hello, Daniel Berry. How are you doing? Laura Thompson. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hey, Laura. Discord message me and tell me what your schedule is for this week and let me know when we can do a live together. All right, Mythical, good to see ya. Good to see all of y'all. I'm stuck down here. Yeah, so there were my equipment's going nuts. You have no wife. Oh, I've got too much of one. That is the problem. Too many things and not enough hours in the day. Okay, so no, I'll get with you. I'll message you later, Laura, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you what my schedule is, and we can work out something for this week. Yeah. So there is some breaking news on Mica Miller. Yeah. I just want to say that. Well, I'm going to say a lot, so let me just hold that thought, okay? Sorry. I gotta show this, Laura. My cat is trying to lick my armpit. Hey, and I love cats. That's what my sign back here says. If you can't read it, it says, "Once upon a time, there was a girl who really loved tea and cats. It was me." That's me. The end. So, keep changing my background. I just can't get it to where I like it. I don't know what I'm going to do. If you missed it last night, y'all might be surprised. I was actually Prof messaged me and he asked me to come on panel with him last night, and we had a very long talk last week, like long talk, and about Delphi and stuff, and it was really, really good, really productive. It was a great conversation, and so I was on panel with him and Noe and Freckle Joy last night. We were doing a Mother's Day thing, and we talked some Delphi. We talked a lot about, jail conditions, and then we did some reminiscing about our high school days. It was fun. It was fun. So if y'all have nothing to do, uh, and you just want to listen, no, like I know a lot of people put on podcasts and stuff while they work around the house. So yeah, check that out. That was a really good thing. I really truly, let me just say this too, because and I've been talking to Prof about this. Delphi, and it just really seems to be in the Delphi community that the biggest problems are. But, I said, look, if we could we don't have to agree on every point. We don't. Um, we're always, and it's important, honestly, that we don't, because if you keep an open mind, you can look at all the different angles. And that's what I love about doing this. And this is what I love about doing lives rather than videos, although videos do better for me. But I like to listen to everybody's opinions and everybody's knowledge on a case. And if we could just work together and be respectful and agree to disagree on whatever we disagree on, I feel like we could really, really make a difference, and especially in the Delphi case. But anyway, and that's true of everything. So, Mica Miller, man, I've been collecting stuff for days, and sometimes by the time I get it, you have already seen it. So some of this I'm gonna zip on through. Let me change this up a little bit. You're right, Laura. YouTube is insane and hateful. Yeah, faux show. Um. Oh. Oh wait. Okay. I hold on. Let me take a short break here. I've got to turn my lights back on. I kicked them off. I really am here. I'm just trying to adjust. Well, I've only got one light now. Technical stuff. And I'm gonna turn the fan on too because I'm all of a sudden very hot. All right. And this is why it takes just a hot minute to get all ready to do something. Okay, let me see. Y'all still there? Sorry. Sorry about the insanity. All right, this let me make this bigger because this is a crazy thing. This article came out earlier today, and I had saved it. I had sent it to myself, and I couldn't open it. And so I tried several times, and it just kept giving me a bad link. This is all very sus. And I thought, well, maybe it's because they've got bad weather, it looks like, going into South Carolina. So I don't know. But then I got on their website out from my computer, and you can you can get to this first page, this headline, but you cannot get to the article. It is so weird. So I tried different methods until I got it on my phone. And so I'm going to have to read off of a screen recording of my phone. So I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? Oh, hey, Yoli, you're listening, but you can't chat. You know what? And I know it's early because it's even earlier where you are. I was thinking about it. I was like, I wonder if Yoli would come on panel, but it's much earlier where you're at. If you get a chance, though, let me know, and I'll throw you a link. I'd like to hear, Yoli, your opinion on some of this stuff and maybe what recourse they have. But let's look at this article. And I may have to put my glasses on for this. Oh, wait. Let me change this for you. Not for me. Does this make it better? Not really. It's not really doing anything for you, is it? All right. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to do anything for me either. Okay, so this is the headline, though. The FBI, yes, the FBI is involved, and they are investigating J.P. Miller, his attorney, and the Dare to Care African mission. Now, what did I tell you for days since last week? Remember, I said this when I saw that they had missions. I kept saying, y'all, look, missions are the easiest way to transfer money, to hide money, to embezzle money. I've seen it happen so many times in the churches. Hello there, Emily. Can't sleep. Oh, you're sick. Hey, I've been sick for days. I know. I hear you. I hear you. So anyway, yeah, like I said, and remember, I said, like, look, let's look, somebody look into that. Well, people have been. Now, some of this is disturbing, but I don't think in the long run it really is, doesn't mean what they want you to think, what JP wants you to think it means. Okay, so sources confirm that Tom Winslow of the Winslow Law Firm, so we got an attorney involved. Wow. And J.P. Miller are persons of interest by the FBI. My. And this is all having to do with, let me go ahead and, over issues surrounding monies collected for Miller's African mission, Dare to Care. It's unclear how long the investigation has been going on, but Myrtle Beach News has been sent information that confirms Mica Miller knew of the investigation prior to her death. Wow. Mica Miller kept a daily journal. Wow. Well, that would explain, wouldn't it, why JP, and this is somewhere in the news that's come out lately. He did 3 days after her death. He was seen at her apartment complex. He was taking stuff out. All right. So, and I wish this was a better copy, but like I said, I literally cannot show you this article because it will not come up. Oh, did y'all see that? This is why I'm not on Instagram. I get stupid messages from people I don't know. And that was on my phone. I was doing this. I don't know this guy. That's why I don't Insta. On March 14th, Myrtle Beach police reported that nearly $1,200 in donations meant for Solid Rock Ministries' missionary efforts in Africa were stolen by Mica Miller. What? The suspect in a now closed local police theft investigation. Well, is it closed because she's passed away? Her bank account was allegedly credited with $1,199 after she unalived herself at the state park in Robeson County on April 27th. It's credited after. Okay, let me just say right here and now, I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that Mica stole money that wasn't hers from the missions. I do not believe that. Apparently, additional funds are missing from the same mission. Really? Additional funds? Attorney Tom Winslow and his law firm are organizations of interest in the FBI probe. Well, I know if you're thinking like what I'm thinking, JP did that. JP did that to frame her. Let me see. Let me go back up here and see what y'all are saying. Let's see. Yeah, Nancy Drew. We should not refer to him as a pastor. No, he's not. He's what the Bible refers to as a hireling. Buckeye, my uncle stopped tithing to his church because there's no way to figure out where the money goes. Now he just helps relatives and other people he knows needs help. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Let me just say this. If you are not in a church where the funds can be accessible by everybody, like they can't put out a statement of where all the funds are going, what the expenses are, what the light bill is. If they cannot be accountable to the church for everything they are doing, you better get out. Okay? You better get out. Because if you're giving money to a nonprofit organization, you should have the right to know what's going on. Okay. And I know the bigger the church is, the harder it is because there's so many transactions and so much. But a church that has any integrity at all is going to be transparent about their funds, you know. And so when you see this, especially when it comes to missions, somebody really, really needs to look at if you got a missions program at your church. Yeah, ask questions. There's a lot of things. Let me just say this, as we give to a church and stuff like that, and they tell you, okay, we put so much percentage into missions, or maybe in some organized denominations, they have what is called Mission Sunday. All right. And like you just bring your offerings, they're going to ask you for missions money. Okay, that's great. And a lot of places, maybe hopefully the majority of places, have a missions program that they do fund and supervise and all that kind of stuff. But, it's such a vague term. It's not like they're saying, okay, we have a major plumbing issue and it's going to be $6,000.94. Okay. And we need to raise that. We're asking for additional help. That's one thing when you see the bill and you know that there's a problem. Missions, it's almost like the internet. There's a lot of ether in there. We don't know. We don't know about missions, okay? We just don't. Who is reporting to us? The deacons, the elders, the pastor, they're saying, "Oh yeah, we support a school over there." Okay, great. What do we do? Like, are we providing their food and clothing? Is it shelter? And how many kids do we have, and how much does it cost per month? And how many you know how much money did we get? Can we support all these kids? But nobody asks. Nobody ever asks questions about missions. That's why I have been so hot and heavy on it lately. You gotta know. You gotta know. And I understand, Buckeye. So when you get hurt and burned like that, yeah, you don't want to give. Hey, Pam Frenchman, good to see ya. Um, so yeah, be careful. Be careful. And that's your money. Well, it's God's money. But you know what I'm saying? It is okay. You need to know. When they ask you, who do you think you are, questioning us, look, I am the representative of God's money that I give, and God wants an account. Okay? Argue with him if you don't like it. Hey, Hiawatha. Uh, let's see. Yeah, so let's go on with this. It's a short article, okay? Very interesting, though. Like I said, I don't believe that Mica was involved in that. But, there are additional funds missing. What do I think happened? I think JP put money in her account. And let's just put this in the back of our head, okay? You know how when you don't know something for sure, like you can't prove it, but it's like you put it on a little index card, put it in the file in the back of your head, like so you can pull it out, roll that Rolodex when it's time. Yeah, I remember that. Let me pull that file out. If Mica was being intimidated and everything, like we know she was, what if part of, and I'm not going to say, I mean, allegedly, this is theory, but a lot of us, a lot of people wonder if she did do this to herself, was she coerced? Like, and one of the things, we know that he put ungodly pictures of her on the internet. Okay. He admitted that. We know that he was abusive from everything that's coming out now. So is it that big of a stretch to say that he may have said, look, I'm going to take you down. I'm going to discredit you. Nobody's ever going to talk to you. I've already put $1,200 in your account from missions. Or maybe it was a whole different thing. I don't know. What if that was part of the blackmail? All right. Or the things that were the last straw, right? Um, let's see. Uh, yeah. I wonder how mythicals like how I wonder how all this works with humongous mega churches. Well, they still look. They still have to have. They know where their money's going. They do, and you have the right to know too. Again, some places don't have an issue with this. Um, but let me say also, what is the root of all the love of what is the root of all evil? So if you get a lot of money going through your hands, I wonder how many mega churches or even small churches are truly accountable. All right. Uh it's important. It's really important. Um yeah, Pam, you said you give your 10%. Like, look, I do a lot of that too. Places that and situations that people know nothing about, okay? Because uh I don't trust people. I just don't. I don't. I do give when I am a part of a church. I do give, but I'll tell you this: I don't always give all 10% of it to the local church. I give it to things, causes, and people that I absolutely do know the situation. Like whatever. That's the way I do it. That guy, in my opinion, he wouldn't be the type to give her any access to church money. I agree. I agree. I think that he just wanted to set her exactly mythical. I think that he wanted to think she was going nuts. Of course, anything, because look, he already knew he's been unfaithful. He's been doing all this stuff. And look, he has to build himself up, okay? He has to make himself blameless. Oh, poor JP. That poor guy. He loved his wife so much and she had all kind of mental problems and she was stealing from the church and she wouldn't take her medicine and she did all this stuff. Uh that poor guy. And then she offed herself and now bless his heart. Yeah, come on. Come on. I don't know, maybe I'm just cynical, but yeah, I think it was a plan, 100%. All right, so I think we're almost done with this. Tom Winslow represented Pastor John Paul Miller and helped J.P. Miller get legal documentation of Mica's mental health diagnosis. Wow, you really got a thing going, don't you? Tom Winslow, let's remember that name. Uh, let's see. I'm very curious now. What all has Tom Winslow been involved in? Who all has he represented it? These are things that I'm going to be looking up and looking at. Many have questioned Winslow's methods in getting this legal documentation. Yeah, especially now. I mean, legally married, JP. And I don't know what the laws are in South Carolina, but I do know how HIPAA laws are. You you can't get documentation of mental health stuff unless someone is, I mean, if you say it's okay, if you're admitted to the hospital and you say it's okay, yes, you can give my husband all of my medical information or whomever you designate as your person, then they can request those records. If she went in there and she was like, no, he basically tricked me. I don't want him to have my medical records. If she denied that, I think it would be very difficult. I think at the very least, they would have to have a court hearing to determine whether she was able to make that decision. So it might be, it sounds to me like a little bit of legal wrangling, maybe harassment on his part to the hospital. Hey, I'm the attorney and we need this diagnosis. I don't know. I don't know. Uh, what? Pam Frenchman. Oh my God. There is a mega church in Houston that needed repairs. Contractors opened up a wall and found it stashed with cash. Oh my goodness. I have never heard that. Oh, jeez Louise. What church was that? I'd like to read that story. Yeah, maybe he should write a book, Laura Thompson. He's very imaginative. All right, let's go on. We're almost done with this. Yeah, so I really question. How he is able to get mental health records, because I think at this point, even Mica, she was involuntarily put in at Waccamaw. And she was only there for 2 days, y'all. What can they can't learn nothing about you in 2 days. I'll tell you what they can learn about you in 2 days, that there's nothing wrong with you, or that maybe you just, I don't know, maybe you need your meds adjusted, whatever. If they're Yeah, I've done a lot of psych. If you are truly broken down, you're having an event, you're having a meltdown, you're having some kind of psychotic break, like JP wants us to think, 2 days is not going to fix it. All right. You're looking at several weeks. You're not going to get out of there without some intense therapy, counseling, probably med changes, all that kind of stuff. And they have to make sure that you are safe, that you're not going to harm yourself or anybody else. So the fact that Mica was only there for 2 days, I call hogwash. That was just long, and it takes just about a day to get you in, do your intake, get your history and all that. And then I think she went in on the 8th and she was out on the 10th. Like, she had 1 day of therapy, and they're like, you know what? They probably looked at her and said, you're fine. You need to get away from this abuser, and you're going to be fine, darling. That would be my guess, but I don't know because I don't have the medical records. So I think it's very, very odd for her to have only been in there that long, and then they get the records. And yeah, I'm calling BS. I'm calling BS right now. The Solid Rock Church website was removed from the internet and scrubbed after news of the FBI investigation began to privately leak out in certain circles. Wow. Wow. I have not looked for the website. I did not vet that. I'm just looking at the article. Yeah, it seems like y'all got a problem over there at Myrtle Beach. Now, I looked at this. I'm gonna go back up here because remember, I'm doing this on my phone. I was shopping there for just a second. Okay. Here is, and I wanted to see this because this has something to do with Solid Rock. This has to do with, I guess does this have to do with Tom Winslow? Yes. So he was, okay, so he was what, a member there, because they had a blog spotlight. I don't know if you can read this. It's from the church's Facebook page, or it looks like, no, well, it looks like Facebook. The format does, but it is the church's website. It says Solid Rock Spotlight Tom Winslow. So you are clearly involved. Maybe you're a member, whatever. So you're an attorney and you're attending there, and you and JP have this little missions thing going on, right? Now the FBI is involved. Wow. Wow. Okay. Let me go back because yes, Laura, she was involuntary hold. Well, that's how they got her in, I think. Let me go back. Wow. I'm still looking at this church where they found all this money in the walls. Yes, to my understanding from what I've read is that she went in. She only she had gone there before. She had therapy, whatever, there, but she thought she was going to some kind of meeting or whatever, and he basically tricked her into uh, being admitted. Most of the time, people go in voluntarily, all right? Not saying it never happens involuntary, but you had to be really, really bad. Even people who are really, really bad, often they at least know something's wrong and their family will say, hey, you need to go inpatient. They usually do sign themselves in because it's a whole lot of uh, it's a whole lot of paperwork that you got to do. If you want to get somebody involuntary, it's got to be really bad. She could have been on a 48-hour hold involuntarily. That's what I believe it was. I do believe it was that. No. Was it Joel's? What? Are you serious? That was Joel Osteen's church? The money in the walls. Oh my God. Well, I've never been a fan, but but what did me in is when the hurricane came through and they wouldn't let anybody in there until they got publicly shamed. I was like, oh, I can't even. Can you imagine Jesus saying that? No, I don't want you poor, pitiful people who don't have a home and I don't want you to mess up the carpet. Yeah, that sounds like God, don't it? Jeez. Um, yeah, I had no idea. Wow, tons of money in the bathroom wall, even checks. Now I would be mad if I had a check that wasn't cash and then, it comes up 3 years later. Wow, that's very interesting. So, yeah, okay, so y'all clearly see how this can go with it. And like I said, I'm not a church hater. I am a church goer. But I mean, I do ask questions. All right. And if I don't feel comfortable with the answers, um, I don't go. All right. You don't get my money and I don't go. That's uh okay. So Laura, I worked psych hospital admissions. He could have made up anything and we would have admitted her for the hold. Wow. Wow. It's not that way. Like, well, I'll say this, at least when I worked psych, it was not that easy. It's not, it would never was. I mean, there was a lot of people that needed to be in, but it was really hard to if they didn't sign themselves in. So I don't know what the rules are in South Carolina. Yes, mythical. Yep. He does not discriminate. Oh wow. Yeah, see, I know a lot of people that cannot. As a matter of fact, the church that I attend, they basically said, hey, if you're listening to him, don't. And that's really big for a church to say. Yeah. And they wouldn't allow anything in Bible studies that people were doing like to be from him. And I was like, oh, well, I never followed him anyway. All right, so let's look at something else. So this is going to be a little bit of a catch up, but we're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about some stuff that's very disturbing, and then I have another post that, oh man, It's from one of the Facebook groups, and it really, really makes you question. All right. So let's look at the worst. Let's catch up with the worst in case you haven't caught up with this. And you've been out for a few days. Let's look at this. On April 30th, sorry, I need something to drink. I haven't had a proper voice in days. Okay, so John Paul gets Mica's body. Now remember, she passed away on the 27th. On the 30th, he gets her body, but he refuses to let her family see her until they sign a waiver agreeing to cremation. Now, if I'm a family member, first of all, if I'm a family member and I know JP, and they knew JP, they had watched this in action for years, you absolutely, that's your first sign. That is to me, it's like the beacon. It is the beacon that says, you know what? I'm doing something shady. Because if you're not, if this was completely, I had nothing to do with it, she was seriously mentally ill and depressed, I want to know what happened just as much as you do. What you have an autopsy, right? And you want everything out there. You want to know everything. If you have nothing to hide, you don't want to immediately cremate to the point that you won't let the family, who you know is onto you, by the way, you don't do that. You don't make them sign, okay. And I don't know at this point, I'm not sure. Again, with the laws, she had filed for legal separation. So I don't know if that meant that if he did or didn't still have custody of her body, because I would definitely be questioning that legally. If you're legally separated and she's put all this stuff in writing, then you should not be giving that body to the husband, even though they're not divorced yet. To me, it should have went to her family to make all the decisions. So, y'all, if y'all are from South Carolina and you know the rules, the laws, I would not want somebody in that situation to be able to pull this crap right here. Pull this crap. Yeah. So what is the family going to do? I can't fault them. Really, because you want to see your loved one last time. And if he refuses, unless you sign that she can be cremated, he's going to cremate her anyway. And you're not even going to get that. So I kind of get it, unless they had any legal legs to stand on. And I don't even know. Okay. Now, there was a News Nation, and I would play it for you, the interview, but I'll get copyright strikes from News Nation. But in that, there's several things we're going to talk about. JP's ex-wife told News Nation that she got out just in time. So what did she know? I mean, obviously, she had abuse. Obviously, he was cheating on her right and left, like he was, Mica. So I wonder, because they didn't expound on that, I wonder if she knew of any illegal or mishandling of funds, or even some of the stuff that his dad, Wayne Miller, was doing. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. But I hope that one day she'll be able to talk about that. What? I'm I'm missing something about Red Lobster. Um, okay. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything that you're trying to say. Okay. According to court documents, now we've heard this, it's not brand new, but it does play into it. We knew she was being stalked. They said it is, okay. It's official. JP they redacted or unredacted it to reveal that John Paul was her stalker, And there are far more occasions than we know about. Some of that was just coming out today. There are other places that his vehicle was seen. So he was stalking her. Basically, they found not one tracker, 4 trackers. Did y'all know that? 4 different trackers at different times. So here, and the point of this is, okay, if you are a guy who is a narcissist and you want control and you're losing control of your wife, even though you've got so many other levers, you know, on the side. So you would think, why why didn't he just let her go? You know, he's moved on with, at least one mistress, and then there's all the other people coming forward. Um, let her go. But no, in your narcissistic brain, you have to keep control of her. So but I don't think it was just that. I think it's because he did know she was smart and she knew too much. So you have to track somebody. You need to know where they're going, because at any time, she could cause your house of cards to crumble with what she knows. So you've got to keep up with her. Now, also add into this, what if this was a plan for her to unalive herself, whether it was by him talking in her ear and blackmailing her, or whether there's more to this story? At first I was devastated and I just said, oh man, she must have really been depressed or really, scared or whatever to do this. But you'll see, as we go on, I'm starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't want to be. I just have some questions. So I need somebody to explain. Explain this to me. Explain it. Because it ain't mathing to me. All right. So if you are needing to keep up with somebody because you need them to maybe she needed to have an accident. Maybe it was going to be a tragic accident with her car or, something. And then when that didn't happen, maybe it needed to be a self-harm. I don't know. But it seems to me that would be one of the prime reasons that you want to track somebody. You need to know where they are at all times. All right. Hello, Linda Kay. Aw. Yeah. Uh, yeah, go ahead and replay. Yeah, but I'm glad to have you here. Okay, Buckeye. Oh, hold on. Let me show this. I'm a spiritual person, but don't have much belief in churches. I was pretty happy at the last one I went to, but stopped going when someone trying to help grabbed my walker and almost knocked me down. What? Someone trying to help grab my walker and almost knocked me down? Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? Same. I have not went consistently to a church in a long time. Now I go, but being a part of one, for a lot of reasons. And it's not, I get what you're saying. You can believe in God, but you don't believe in people, especially church people. I get it. And there are more of us out there than you can even imagine, that we're over it. We're over the church world and their shenanigans. Very much. Doesn't have anything to do with your relationship with God. Hello, Victim's Voice. I believe someone was with Mica at the park and forced her to make that 911, and they unalived her. Hey, and you know what? Look, the more we go into this, and I've been getting stuff too, and I'm probably also from your site. You don't want to immediately jump into conspiracy, but the more I see and the more questions I have, like, these don't have answers, and we're going to look at some pictures and stuff that I 100% agree. Now I'm like, I don't think she did. And let me just say, for the very probably this is my biggest problem. All right. I understand, having worked in mental health and even having family members who are bipolar. I understand all that. But the one thing that makes me think that Micah could not have done this is your belief in God and how self unaliving is a sin. Now, I mean, look, it's huge, and I know there's a lot of controversy and stuff. Look, I know that. But that is what you are taught and that is what you believe. And I mean, I'm not God. I can't say. I don't I don't know. I don't know how God does that. But I know that he's fair and just. But as humans, we can't do that. We cannot do that and feel like we are going to make it into heaven's gate. So that is my biggest thing. I don't think that would be something that she could do. It doesn't seem like she was in that place, either. I think she was terrified. I think she was terrified. And yeah, the more that you look at this, the more it doesn't make sense, and the more you have to question, was she alone? Because there are so many details that don't add up. Okay, and I don't. The more I look, I have to say, the more I don't believe she was either. It doesn't make sense. Um, let's see here. Yes, Scott, absolutely. Those that are in Jesus Christ are the church. 100%. It's not a building. It's not a pastor, not a preacher for a faux show. Um, yes. Well, good, Mother of Dragons. That is what I teach my kids too, to follow the word of God and not the man preaching it. I think there's a whole lot of people that have been hurt and disillusioned, and we're over it. Like I said, we're over it. Yeah, yeah, Kelly, hello. Yeah, it is. It is weird, the prosperity gospel. I mean, I'm not saying I think look, I think there's balance. I think there's balance in all of that. Um, let's see, Risky 3 and Me. It is said the pew pew was found by her car, but she was found in the water. See that exactly. Exactly. That is what these kind of things are what I'm saying. Like, how does that happen? Like, that is some kind of crazy miracle. What is it? Intervention of, what? How does she in the water? And, but these are things I have not seen in writing. I want to see this. And now we don't have an autopsy to look at. So we're gonna look at all this, and I am gonna say at the end, I think if we can't get the justice for Micah that we really, really want, I think there is another way. Okay. And I think we're already doing it. I will have to check that out. Hiawatha. All right. So then the next thing. All right. You've seen this is just building up on this harassment. All right. Body cam footage taken at East Coast Honda shows JP harassing Micah at the dealership. And I believe this is when she has a flat tire. My God, who follows you? Like, he's sitting there. He already knows you're going to have a flat, and he's there harassing you. You can see she's got a lot of fight in her. It doesn't. I think she's over it. Like, she keeps telling him, yeah, what is it? You're going to be arrested, or whatever. The police are going to see this. You're going to be arrested. You're going to go to jail. Whatever, something like that. Absolutely. Why would you follow and harass somebody? To me, this is an sign of insanity on his part. I mean, if I had a patient that was doing this kind of stalking and harassing, they are the ones that needs to be in the hospitalized. Like, buddy, what's wrong with you? You need to stop. This ain't healthy. Okay. Oh man, this one gets me. This one gets me so bad. Robeson County investigating officer admitted that Mica's lungs were not tested for water. There was no test for gunpowder on her hands. There was no autopsy or toxicology. So, and I understand this is because the family didn't have a choice. This is the part, even if, okay, and I don't even like to give JP a pass on anything. But let's say he wanted her cremated. But again, if you are innocent, before you do that, if you want the truth to come out and you want to know and you want the world to know, because let me tell you something, if I were in JP's position and people were looking at me and I was going to have to explain this or make a statement, I would want to exonerate myself by any means possible. Like, let's do 2 autopsies. Let's get a second one. Let's get a second opinion. Let's do this. I want a toxicology. I want every test we can do to see what happened to prove that I'm not involved if I wasn't involved. However, when you are involved and you are trying to cover stuff up, well, you don't want any of these things done, do you? No. And unfortunately, he got his way. I don't even understand investigators, okay? Let's take JP out of it. As investigators, as police, especially if you see a body in the water and the pew pew is not right there, it should probably be in the water next to her. But even if it was on the bank or whatever, how are you going to 100% say that this was a act of self-harm if you don't check the hands for gunpowder residue? How do you not? How are you going to be a police investigator? How are you going to wear that label investigator if you don't investigate? Huh? Because you didn't. I mean, I could come across somebody and assume, oh, I see somebody, I see a gun next to him. I assume what happened, but I don't know for sure. No matter what the trajectory was, no matter what the circumstances were, you don't know until you do those tests, do you? So you tell me, are you incompetent or are you lazy? Or are you being paid off? Because it's going to come in, it's going to fall into one of those categories. Either you don't know what you're doing, you're too lazy to do it, or you don't want the info out there. You choose. Pick one and stick with it, because what other stuff we're going to look at, it doesn't add up. And you don't have a great history, Robeson County. As a matter of fact, it's really bad. 22 of your officers arrested, go to prison. Yeah, it was a few years ago. But how much of the residue of that is still there? And how much influence do some of these people have? I'm just asking these questions because to me, this is the sloppiest work I've ever seen. You always want to know what happened. You want to be able, if nothing else, even if you don't have one question in the world that this person did that, you want to be able to assure the family that you've done everything you possibly can to say, this is what happened. Now, what are the factors that led to it? That's a whole other question. But you need to know 100% that's exactly what happened first. How are you going to sign a paper and say case closed if you did not test anything? And now there's not even an autopsy report, is there? To look. So it would be public, so we could see, so we could, because if JP's innocent, had nothing to do with it, which, mentally, the psychological part was definitely there. But let's say physically, either he or his friends or whatever, she was alone. Well, that report would show, right? We don't have it. Why don't we have it? All right, I'm just throwing this out there. I do not know anything about this, but I thought it was interesting. One of the church members is a medical examiner. I'm trying to get this out. Please help me. I have proof. Someone get his attention, please, so someone can see this text. A lot of people from the church wants to speak out. I have information I found last night. Now, this was completely anonymous. So, y'all, I'm not in South Carolina. I did not go to that church. I don't know anybody. I wish I did. To ask and investigate some of these questions. But, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming the medical examiner would have been in North Carolina, but I don't know. I've seen no paperwork. I don't know if the family has anything that they can go on. So there you go. All right. These are some things. And this is just kind of showing you where these are some texts that just kind of back up what the family was saying. And these have been out in a lot of Facebook groups. As you see, it's like this is talking about the self-harm. And talking about in this first one, if y'all can see that, was this confirmed by Mica's family? How was that monster able to have her cremated? I thought Mica's family refused to sign the cremation papers. Yes. Well, of course they didn't. Whoops, hold on. Of course they didn't want to. See, JP told the owner of Burrow that if her father and myself, this is from her mom, didn't sign the paper, he would refuse to let anyone see her for the very last time. So this is it in writing. I dug my heels in, crying and screaming as I signed that paper. I had my entire family begging me, fussing at me to sign. I fainted a few minutes later as I was trying to view Mica and crushed. I mean, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being put in this position. I think I would almost give anything to see someone one last time, especially you don't even have that closure if they're going to be cremated. You have nothing to touch, nothing to hold on to. And I cannot imagine having to make that kind of decision. All right, this entire story is crazy to me and just off. I pray for you and your family's peace. However, do not give up on fighting to find out every single thing possible. This is just the shadiest, creepy feeling I get from him. He's trying to cover something up big time. I agree. 100%. And then the response was, that's what we said, but police wouldn't help us. He has her jewelry and won't return it to us. Come on. Yeah, and we're going to talk about some jewelry in just a minute. Like, things are just not adding up. All right. I just thought this was interesting. Now, we've looked at his list of charges, which are many, on one of the past episodes. Okay. But this is, again, from another post. Now, listen to this. I was down in the newspaper archives tonight and found this gem. John Paul Miller pleaded guilty after being charged with hitting a woman with his car twice. Wow. Twice. Once isn't good enough with a car? This is from the September 26, 1998 edition of the Myrtle Beach Sun News. John Paul Miller, 19, of blah, 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 Drive, Myrtle Beach, assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature. The indictment charges Miller with hitting a woman twice with his vehicle at a high rate of speed on February 8th. That's weird. Isn't that similar to one of the dates that Mica was committed? Wasn't it February? Was it March? I think it was February. Wasn't she committed involuntarily on February 8th? I could be wrong about that, but I was thinking it was the 8th through the 10th. Almost shows a cycle pattern, right? Of crazy. Okay, now this one is actually, I know you recognize this, Laura. I found this very interesting, and she left this on comments to another video. I could be way off on this, but I have to share the thoughts to provide another perspective or two. I assume there's more information out regarding Mica being bipolar. I haven't personally looked into this, but the mentions of lithium caught my attention, as they did mine, for sure. 20 plus years working mental health, and I've only met one person on lithium, and he was actually my student at the university and not a patient. If I hadn't expressed concerns to him about the whites of his eyes being yellow, then I'd likely never known he was taking lithium, and no longer taking it after that day when I suggested he go to the ER, and then the physicians were alarmed by his labs, especially the liver functioning. Remember when I talked about that in one of the last videos? Lithium is very odd to get. I mean, it's not that it's never given, but you have this, right? You have this problem with liver function. You have to really, really stay on it. My first thoughts regarding Mica taking lithium were regarding who prescribed this to her. Same, Laura. Small town and or older physicians and psychiatrists are more likely to prescribe what we would consider old school medications. And then it dawned on me that as controlling as JP is, what if he knew specific providers would treat her in a set way? Yeah. There's just a huge train of thoughts that go with being in an abusive relationship and how controlled your environment can be and your access to appropriate care. Exactly. Now, since you wrote that, Laura, there has been there's been a video out where JP talks about himself being on lithium. So they're both on lithium. That is no. I don't believe, because it is such a small percentage. Like Laura says, it is a very small percentage of people that get on lithium, unless you're seeing a quack. Because it is not. It is a dangerous drug. Back in the day, it was the only thing that they had that worked. Okay? It was the standard of treatment, but that was like, what, 50, 60 years ago? It is very dangerous. It causes liver disturbances. Like you can get toxic really quick. They don't give that anymore unless literally nothing else works. And it would be such a small set of people that the odds that husband and wife are both taking lithium. I'm not buying it. I am not buying that Kool-Aid y'all are drinking. Then I started pondering the nuances of misdiagnosis, because victims of abuse are so often labeled inaccurately while they are actively being abused and or are not yet effectively treated. Just throwing this out there for consideration, since living with a narcissist, I won't say that, has not yet made it into medical coding books. No, it hasn't, Laura, but it should. It should be in those books. All right, I haven't finished this yet, but I have to say this now or I might forget. This predator, JP, the emotional pastor of disaster, needs to be stopped before he ruins any more lives. Also, I get that the police could have done so much more to help Mica, but it seems like the cops often have to be pointed in the right directions. And I agree with that. Sometimes they do need to be pointed. I don't think these cops are looking, though. And when you wrote that, I can't say I necessarily, I was more on the, okay, It's more on the side, or the cops are trying. I don't think they are anymore. Um, all right, now here's another thing, right? Check this out. This comes up, and this is in a lot of groups, and a lot of people are talking about it. These are the pictures from the pawn shop. And this is the necklace, and this necklace is, what they think it's the same necklace that JP was wearing in an interview afterwards. But this is on the way to the state park. How? Look at that bottom picture. How are you going to have a necklace? It's like a little circle. How are you going to have a necklace on in one photo at the pawn shop? This is a cam. Like, this is the, what is it? Security camera. How are you going to have this in one picture, but this one where she's straight on and you can clearly see it is not on her? So to me, I'm thinking, hey, wait, I'm like, hold the phone. Hold the phone. That's fishy. If this is actually, camera from inside the store, that's been edited. Your necklace doesn't, like, what? There's a glitch in the matrix. It fell into the Twilight Zone, whatever. Boom, it's there. No, it's not. Does it seem to y'all like some of that footage might have been edited? I don't know. Yes, Yoli, JP's ex-wife. Honestly, when I look at her and Mica side by side, it is very, very difficult for me to tell the difference between them. Both very beautiful women, but yeah, it is hard. Okay, now let's look at this. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to see if I can, let me make this one bigger. Now look at this. And maybe you can blow this up later on if you can't see it now. This is some of the surveillance photos from different parking lots. This is at the gas station that she went to. Now, sleuthers, we are so used to looking at surveillance, dash cams, timestamps. Like, look, we deal with this all the time, right? If you follow any case, you're always looking. So you tell me how this comes straight from, this is like ludicrous. It is. You tell me how this comes straight from surveillance or dash cam, surveillance, whatever, a ring camera, whatever. You tell me how this timestamp, the date and time, has different colored numbers. Do y'all see that? This is on 4/27/2024. It says, in a black letter, 1, white, 3, it says 13/27/36 as the timestamp. But the only number in white that matches the date is the 3. That don't happen. It doesn't happen. That is the worst Photoshop job I have ever seen. Well, maybe not the worst, but it's right up there. And that one that's in front of the 3, like, it looks entirely too close. I don't know. It doesn't, the 3 looks entirely too close to the colon. But that, maybe that's okay. Whatever. But you tell me how does if you got a ring camera or any kind of, like, it's all in one. So what does that say to me? It says it's been edited. Now look at the same thing down on the bottom picture. All right. It says 4/27. It's got a 2. And then it says, supposed to say 4/27/2024 at 12:04 p.m. However, the 4/27 and the first 2 are all in black. What? How does this happen? I mean, we're not stupid. And what I have also been saying is that this comes from the Robeson County. This is from the investigation. They have changed the pictures on their Facebook page. I don't know how many times. Somebody said like 9. 9 times. Come on. But that I'm looking at that and I'm like, look, I am not an idiot. All right. You may question that. I question that sometimes, but I know what the camera, the timestamp on a camera, on surveillance, on Ring, on whatever kind of thing that you're using. I know what it looks like, and it's not black and white. It's all the same. Like, y'all aren't even good criminals. You're not. You suck at this. Don't quit your day job. Maybe get a different job. Come on. I mean, I'm really insulted. I'm insulted that you put that out there and think that I'm dumb enough to buy that. All right. I love this one. Not really. I hate it. But I'm going to make this bigger. And this is from JLR Investigates. It was from his post. But I've seen this numerous times. This was a text from John Paul to Mica's family. You piece of crap. That was just my comment. Sorry. And this is what he says. This is what happens when you try to encourage someone to divorce the person they love and tell them they don't need medicine and that they're not ill when they are. Good job, Francis family. Oh my God. They have just lost a family member. And this is what you send them, JP? As a human, that is not acceptable. As a pastor, I would say you have no idea of who God is. You have zero love in your heart. Like, you are psychotic. You are a psychopath. I don't know what kind of church would let somebody put something up like that to a grieving family. Even if they had said, Mica, come off your medicine. Like, they didn't. But let's just say if any of that was even true at all, in the slightest form, anybody with any compassion or any morals or understanding, anybody who has a heart would never say that to someone who just lost their family. What a piece of crap you are, John Paul Miller. That is not even... There are no words. There are no words for me to express my disdain for you. And there is no God in you. None. That is my opinion. Allegedly. But that is how I feel. All right. This, I wanted to bring this up, and this is also, this, I don't know if this is from Reddit or Facebook, but this raises some really, really good questions. And I want to put this on here because, here's the thing, people, we have no autopsy. We have no way to prove at this point, okay? I believe in miracles. We have no way at this point to prove that Mica did not, unalive herself. I have a really hard time buying that with all the different things that are coming up. But we don't have it in black and white at this point. So, I got to thinking, what if we can't prove that? Well, even if we could, it's not going to bring Mica back. Okay? But what we want to see is justice. Hold on. Dog going nuts. She saw a cat again. It's a major problem. Anyway, we can't bring Mica back. But what do we want? we want justice, right? We want her to have meaning, that everything that she wanted to expose, we want to see if he's guilty. First, he's guilty of abuse. We know that. We want to see him pay for his crimes. Now, that's why I love the FBI getting involved with the Dare to Care mission thing. Because, sometimes you don't take people down the way that you want. And if we can't prove anything because of the lack of medical stuff, what we can do is we can expose anything else. I mean, think about it. Al Capone did not go to jail for all of the many unalivings and horrible things, that he did or was responsible for, that somebody did for him, whatever. He went to jail for tax evasion. Doesn't matter. He stayed in jail, right? He paid a lot for his crimes. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Which we've already, in the beginning, I'm like, well, if there's anything to expose, if, he is that horrible, it'll come out. Like, it's beyond. It is beyond what I can bear. I think the best thing is to keep digging. So I wanted to look at some of this. Okay, this is from Debbie and Charlie. I don't know if this is Faust or Fauzi. I don't know. It says, I'm not talking about the actual alleged 911 call that Mica made. I'm talking about the other 911 call. What other 911 call? Does anybody know? Where somebody posted in the comments a few days ago that someone she knew that lives close to Lumber River State Park made a 911 call themselves after they heard a woman crying for help, and then they heard 3 gunshots, and then they called 911 line. Okay, wait a second. I haven't heard anything about this. I haven't seen anything on people who have looked at the list of 911 calls. Does anybody know? 3 gunshots. You don't unalive yourself with 3 gunshots. Although some people it's been ruled that way until somebody calls BS and they start investigating again. Where they heard 3 gunshots after they heard a woman crying for help. Do y'all know anything? Is there anybody who knows anybody that has heard of this 911 call? Because if there is a second one, I mean, I can see that the person that first was there at the riverbank, but if it's another 911, if you hear gunshots and you hear somebody crying and saying help, that's what I would do. I would call 911 because, like, you don't know who's out there. You don't know how many people, if you're not armed, whatever, but you hear this. So does anybody know? Can anybody vet this? Because I find this very, very interesting. Okay, and it goes on to say, and the people who told me this have no reason whatsoever to lie. They have questioned law enforcement as to why they were interviewed, because they did give their names when they called. Whoops. Their questions haven't been answered by law enforcement either. I truly believe they did not investigate this case as thoroughly as should have been done. So, yeah, where are the records to that? Was there another 911 call? That would make a lot of difference, wouldn't it? There was a second one, and they gave their names. This lady right here. Let me add more to this. I tried to find this video. I found it other than just screen recording it, and I didn't do that. Her name is Allie Golden, and you can see that Allie Golden 1. But when I looked on TikTok, I could not find this one. So I don't know what has happened to it. But basically, I'll just tell you what she's talking about. She's talking about the route that Mica took. and she stopped she went not straight to the state park. She goes to the place in Mullins, which is out of the way and weird. That gas station, I think, is what it was. And she said, so I started wondering why, if you're going to the state park, why would you do this? Just FYI, all right? It's just a little nugget for you to think about and look at. She did look up Mullins and did find a connection to JP's dad, Wayne Miller, and that he does hold or he's part of some kind of group that holds services on, I think it's called Gospel on the Green, and it's in Mullins. So it made me wonder if JP was somewhere else. Where was Wayne? And did he have any contact? I don't know. It's a thought. It's a thought. Let's look at something else, though. And I want to end with this. By the way, Kyler Marlowe she writes a lot of stuff. She's got TikToks, whatever. Do check her out. And but here are some questions. All right, I love this. So please go check out Kyler. She, like I said, she is on Facebook, but she does most of her stuff, I think, on TikTok. But these were such good questions. Hello, Nina Kelly. Good to see you. All right. So let's see if we can vet this. Because look, if we cannot get this guy charged with murder, let's at least see what he's been doing. Are there any other charges? I don't know. But it seems like to me that you've been an abuser. And I'm not saying just, I'm about calling people out on every, little crime that people commit, whatever. But he's an abuser. He's a user, abuser, and he is going to hurt more women, more girls. He's not going to stop. That's the thing. He's not going to stop. It's not just about paying for what he's done to Mica, and I'm sure his first wife, and God only knows how many other kids and females. He's not going to stop. He's going to have to be stopped. And it seems like he's got a lot of friends. So let's see how many friends Mica can get. Even though she's not with us, let's see how many people will stand up for Mica. All right. Now, these are some things to consider. Again, this is allegedly. I don't have it in writing. But let's think. Okay, let's listen. Keep an open mind. Let's think. J.P. Miller was not seen at Olive Garden on Saturday night. It was Friday. Because that was his alibi. But he could still have made it to the state park by the time Mica made the 911 call. So I don't understand, so that whatever footage or, surveillance of him was on the what would that have been, the 26th? Interesting. Robeson County stated that J.P. Miller had an alibi in Charleston the day of her death, but did they do any cell phone pings? I'm sure they didn't, because they didn't even do a freaking autopsy. Did they check for gunshot? No. Or did they check JP for gunshot residue? No. I can tell you no. Was he even questioned? None of these things have been brought to light. If they were done, they have not been mentioned. Well, no. JP's innocent. Don't y'all know that? But keep reading, because it gets better. Here's some really interesting information that I've been working on the last few days. I've been working with a private investigator for the last week. We all know the corruption that has come out about Robeson County with Operation Tarnished Badge. I did that, I think, in my last Mica Miller one, sometime in the last few days. And the reputation they still carry to this day from the locals or those who have experienced crime or loss of loved ones in Lumberton and surrounding areas. Please read this post in its entirety and pay close attention to the screenshots because they all match up to what you're about to read. We've all heard by now that Mica paid car taxes on a vehicle that was registered to her and only her the day before her death. This is true and is on record. They were past due from December of 2023, and we've also seen that it was common knowledge that Mica was struggling financially. It all checks out. The tag number was South Carolina tag number WUP 747 with a VIN number ending in 7697 for a 2019 Honda Accord, as shown in the screenshots below. So why was this same tag number matching the Honda Accord seen in Charlotte, North Carolina? What? Seen in Charlotte, North Carolina on May 1st, 2024 at 440 Griffith Road, which is a Wyndham hotel. A prior police report states that this car was taken away. I'm sorry. A prior police report states this car was taken away from Mica in March. So who is currently driving that car? Another police report does state that Mica had a black Honda Civic after this. But why doesn't the tag numbers match? There is also a police report stating that JP tried to go to her apartment 3 days after her death to get items out of it. I'll bet he was looking for that binder. What you want to bet? What were you trying to get out of there, and why isn't that being talked about? Yeah. There is also a traffic camera photo of his truck at her apartment building on March 20th. We've seen the reports about her being stalked and harassed. In the Robeson County report, they show us a black Honda Civic, South Carolina tag number 301 AKH, that they want us to believe is Mica's car traveling toward Lumber River State Park. This tag is expired, does not match a Honda Civic. Okay, I'm just saying, this is what, I haven't looked it up, but y'all, if this is true, this tag is expired, does not match a Honda Civic, and is not registered in Mica's name. As you can see by the screenshots below, okay? It is registered to someone else as a 2003 blue Chrysler Town & Country, which is about as far away from a Honda Civic as you can get. What? However, in the same Robeson County report, they made sure to use the correct tag number for JP's truck, South Carolina tag number XIM865. But what they don't tell you is that this tag number was also picked up on a traffic camera on April 27th, 2024 at exactly 12:30 p.m. on the Mark Clark Expressway in North Charleston heading out of town. The soccer games were over by 12:25 p.m. that Saturday in North Charleston, which is where that highway runs through and exits the main highway. The Robeson County report doesn't detail when, and what time he was seen leaving Charleston, just that he was there that day. If Mica did call 911 herself, it's entirely possible that he could have made it around the time she called, especially if he was speeding and he has past speeding tickets and outstanding careless vehicle operations on his record currently. If they aren't telling us the whole story about Mica's vehicle, how can we believe that he was back in Myrtle Beach at 2:22 p.m. that day? How can we believe anything they say at this point? Look, after they didn't investigate properly, that whole crime scene, I don't believe anything they say anyway. And those ridiculously doctored photos, the different colors on the number, look, I don't believe nothing they say. They have also edited their Facebook post 9 times since it was originally posted, and deleted the photo of her looking up at the camera at the pawn shop. Now remember, that's the photos that we looked at a few minutes ago that had one had her necklace, the other one didn't. Okay, now that whole thing is gone. Good thing that there are people that copy social media. We don't let this stuff go. There are also no timestamps on the photos of her at the counter, only from outside and the entry. The Robeson County report said in their statement that the decision was based on surveillance videos. Okay, and they're talking about the decision that she had unalived herself was based on this kind of evidence. What about the physical evidence? Oh, come on. You didn't. No. This doesn't even make sense. It was based on surveillance footage, interviews, physical evidence, which was severely lacking, and the examination of the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. Not only did we not have body camera footage from their law enforcement or footage from the state park, which does have cameras, no matter what people want to say, but what physical evidence are they referencing? Okay, and let me bring this up because I was watching this is gosh, it was probably last week sometime. I was watching JLR Investigates, and he was outside of the state park, and he said in the state park, because when you're doing the live stream, you got to have that internet connection. He said in the park you don't have service, which is true. We have two major state parks close to my area, and that's true. And when I go to either one of them, you got no service. You just hang it up. You're not going to have cell service. So how does Mica call 911 if she's in the park? That was my first question. When I heard that, I'm like, how? What? Because you wanted your exact location. So, I mean, otherwise I'd say, well, she didn't have cell service in the park, so she went outside the park, but she acted like she didn't know where she was, which is strange to me. You know where you are. You just passed a big sign. All right? You know where you are. And the 911 call, she doesn't seem to know where she's at. But she's got cell service. Well, 911, ma'am. She said she doesn't appear to be in Robeson County, which I realize it's right there at the line, or it seems to be on the line of something. But, or maybe, yeah, on the county line, maybe. How do you ping a cell phone when you don't have cell phone service? You can't. So if she was outside of the park with service, she would have to be outside just like he was when he did his video. You would have to be outside of the park. So would it even register in the park? Certainly wouldn't register at a place where they could find your body if that was the end game. You wanted them to be able to find your body, your family not to worry, right? That's the whole point in calling 911. Otherwise, there's no point. Well, if you're outside of the park and then you come back in the park, you could be anywhere in that park. That's not helpful. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. The math ain't math in here. All right. In the Alex Murdaugh case, the body camera footage was released quickly. That is true. That is true. So why isn't there body cam footage? Yeah, why we don't see nothing. We got nothing. The medical examiner that was called in also admitted that he wasn't on that case and wasn't on call that day. So why and how did he even come into the picture? So it makes me wonder. Now they're talking about the Alex Murdaugh case. Also has possession of the black Honda. I'd like to know that too. Was it searched? Was anything else found in it? I'm sure JP's got it. I mean, I don't know that, but I'm assuming. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. More will be revealed. Wow. Wow. But doesn't that bring up a lot of stuff, right? It brings up a lot of questions to me. Hmm. It's not making sense. There's too many there's too many what ifs, and I hate to be the one to sound like a conspiracy theorist, and it seems like I always end up doing it. I do. But when the math ain't mathing and things aren't adding up, and then you wonder how is she found in the water and the weapon somewhere else. And here's another thing, and I've heard this and I've wondered it myself. That 911 call, you don't hear anything. If she's in the water or even close to the water, or if she's in, okay, first of all, she couldn't have made the call in the state park, right? Well, let's pretend she could. If she was out there wanting her exact location pinged, it's noisy outside in the South at this time of year. You got the birds. You got, I don't know, the cicadas are not here yet, but they're in Georgia. So, I mean, I guess they're coming my way. I don't know how South Carolina is, but it's noisy. All the little bugs, all the little birds, all the leaves, the sound of water. She was by the water. Like that stuff is noisy. You can't go outside and not have background noise unless she was sitting in her car, but then you don't have internet service. But still, there's nothing. It sounds very dry. Like the sound in there sounds very dry. It's very odd. It's a very odd call. The response of the 911 operator is, look, I'm not trying to cast stones, but it I don't understand why she wasn't asking her the questions that you want to know their name. Who is this? Who am I speaking to? Where are you? Like, I understand you're trying to keep them on the phone, not like, big patches of silence and then just drifting off. Either that 911 call is not complete, but and I have a friend who was worked dispatch for 911 for years. We've talked a lot about, even just the PTSD that they can get from listening to this stuff. But you are trained. What you don't get off the phone. You do not get off the phone with someone who is in this situation saying this is what they're going to do. You keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. It doesn't add up. It has been suggested that that call was AI. Now, I don't personally know. I know AI can do a lot of things. As a matter of fact, you can put your voice, you can do a voice sample in a lot of these programs and then type. Like, cuz this is what some creators do. I don't do it. Y'all clearly see I'm doing my own thing. But you can sample your voice, put it in one of these paid AI programs and then type out your whole script, okay, that you want to write or that you want to do a video of, and then put like you can create it with your own voice with not actually having to um, sit down and record it. So, now that is a problem, isn't it? Because if you could sample a voice, and she, I'm sure, had left JP from time to time many voicemails. I'm sure there was samples of her voice when, maybe when she was talking at church or on the worship team or whatever. If she ever said anything, would have been easy to sample her voice. Is it possible? Yes, 100%. Is it possible to AI it? Did he? I don't know. Did somebody? I don't know. I really don't know. But now that would make sense, wouldn't it? Why there's no other sounds. Um, Very interesting, mythical. Wonder if the other car was a rental that had expired tags so it wouldn't be traced. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good question too, Buckeye. If you have internet, you can check Google Maps to find out where you are. Yeah, if you're gonna call, but where you gonna call? You're gonna call 911 and say, I need you to find my location," because you can tell the operator thinks that maybe she's lost, like she's in the woods, she's whatever. I'm lost. I can't find my way out. Please tell me where I'm at. Um, but if you're there, you can like, yeah, you can Google map it. Where am I? But she didn't have internet. But you would know. Uh, look, you would know when you got directions. That was another thing. If you're googling how to get to the state park, and I didn't actually see for what it's worth, I did not actually see a thing from her phone. I saw other things, that people have put on there, but not one that said state parks near me, like has been told. But if you Google state parks near me and you pick one out and get directions, you're going to know the name of it. You just got directions to where you're going. Right. She wasn't crying. She wasn't upset. Yeah, that was bizarre. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It depends on someone's state of mind. But from everything I've seen about Mica, that was not her state of mind to be that way. Yeah. I mean, I know, Jay, that the 911, she should have kept asking questions. Um, the fact that she, I don't know, they are supposed to. I'm like this on that one because they are supposed to ask questions. You want to know who it is, where are you, you know, they are trained to ask questions like, what type of weapon, how are you going to do this, what type of weapon do you have, like they stay on the phone with you and they want every detail. Okay, that's how you're trained, and that's even how you're trained in, like, for other trainings that I've had in psych or whatever. Somebody is calling, if you're on a hotline or whatever, and somebody is calling and they are thinking of harming themselves. Yes, you want every single detail you can get because it makes a lot of difference. You get a 911 call and someone says that they are going to off themselves, and you get their name and everything. Well, what kind of, what is your plan? What kind of weapon do you have? Oh, I don't have anything. Then you're like, well, okay, I'm not calling, all the emergency people right now. I'm going to keep talking because you don't have the means to do it. It's stuff like that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Um, yeah, we don't know. We don't know where his phone pinged because nobody wants to find out, right? Um, let's see. Yeah, but yeah, Hiawatha says it never crossed my mind that they may have used AI. Really? Joe Lewis is using fixed voice for his videos. I'll have to watch that. I didn't know that. That is hysterical. Oh, I love Joe Lewis. He's something else. Uh, he's something. Um, let's see. Okay. Mother Dragons, per federal law, all 911 calls are recorded and are only destroyed per the retention laws. Yeah, and this one, see, I just think there's more to that. If that operator just, if it ended the way that they are pretending that it did, with the operator just kind of like, well, okay, and then she drifts off and that's the end of the call. No. No. Uh I don't think, yeah, Jay, if that's true, and that is that is truly all the operator did, then that is a really bad operator, okay? But I have to think that you're trained better than that. You just all are. You are. Um, the cops and dispatcher must have trained in Nashville. Yeah, ain't that a whole can of worms? Um, that is a good question. Above the clouds, how long did it take for officers to get there, or they only got there after she was found? Yeah, they only got there after she was found. I'm pretty sure about that. They definitely weren't. Um, they weren't there before. That's the thing. Everything is so secretive and kind of sketchy. We're like, I don't know. I don't know. They didn't give us enough. They didn't investigate the dang thing. We don't have any reports. What we got is we got some photos of her in a pawn shop at a gas station, and none of it makes any sense. Photos don't make sense. She's got the disappearing necklace. We got the timestamps on two things the police put out that are clearly photoshopped with different colors. Like, are clowns doing this? Because I'm pretty sure that Bozo and maybe Pennywise could get together and do a better job. Wow. All right. So what are your thoughts? If I were to take what are your thoughts based on some of the stuff that we've seen? Because like I said, I was trying not to get on the conspiracy bandwagon. It's just, and it's not that I even want to look for a conspiracy. All right. What I was looking for is like just information. What led up to it? And then here we are. I think that the influence, if nothing else, that JP, the control and everything, I think he is indirectly responsible, if nothing else. However, you start looking at this stuff that the police are putting out, and you're back to square one. Like, am I looking at a cover up or what? Because I'm going to tell you something. It seems like every case that I start covering ends up right here. And I don't try to, like, I'm trying to just do normal investigation. And then we always seem to be right back in this place where I'm looking at, what the heck are the police doing? And this doesn't make sense. And this doesn't add up. So, what do y'all think? Y'all think it was, yeah, I agree, Laura. It sounds like all evidence must be analyzed for AI aspects. Yeah, but we're going to have somebody tell the truth. And apparently, the truth is hard to come by these days. Wow. Mother Dragons, I just watched a show where a deputy shot his spouse, and it sounds just like this. It wasn't until years later they found out the deputy had done it. Well, I would like to know how he did it, because in my opinion, it's much easier now with AI and Photoshop and every kind of thing that you can do. Yeah, I didn't mention the tattoo. There was a hand tattoo that seems to disappear off that footage. The only reason I didn't bring it up is because of where it's at on the side. I'm like, I don't know how well that would show up. But I certainly would not discount it. Yeah. He has the same necklace on after this happened. Did they both have one, or was that hers? I'm assuming it was hers because the family has said that he wouldn't give back her jewelry. So yeah. Let's see. Jay says JP should have been arrested multiple times for stalking, harassment, abuse that was all reported to the police. 100%. I think the law enforcement gave him a pass on many times he should have been arrested. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just looking at his former rap sheet over the years of harassment, and violence, assault, all kind of stuff. That should have been all they had to do on that first stalking, when the police first realized that Mica was being stalked, or that there was something in her tire, that, tracking device. All they had to do was just pull up while you're sitting in your car. Officer, all you have to do is do a background, just pull up past history. You've got access to that. You've got access to the arrest records. You know how I know? Because I work in a jail. I'm not a police officer, but for anybody in there, or anybody, actually, the public can do this too. But you can look up arrest records on anybody. I just have easy access. But all you do is have the site, check it out. You've already got a hookup to that site. When you see something, because isn't that what you do? Come on, think about it. That's what a policeman does when they stop you for something like, running a red light, following too close, speeding, whatever. They get your information, they get your driver's license, whatever, they write it down, they go back to their car. You know what they're supposed to be doing? Clearly, they don't all the time. They're supposed to be checking for outstanding warrants, right? Let's see, are you wanted anywhere? Let's see who this person, let's throw this information in here. Let's see what's going on with you. While I got you stopped here. That's what they do. So you're telling me that they didn't look back and they didn't look at JP's old numerous charges of violence towards people, and they didn't say, hey, this woman, she needs some help? I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. It's either lazy or silly. Just my opinion. All right. Yeah, I think she knew they would never protect her from JP, probably because, he, first of all, JP, not just take away the pastor part of it and the church and all the influence that, he also had, ownership in a bar. And he was probably a patron of a lot of places. And that's just theory. But, yeah, I think she knew she didn't have any protection as well. All right. So that is, I know, I've kept y'all forever. But here's what I want to leave you with. We know that the investigation was FUBAR, okay? We're never going to get gunpowder residue tests. We're never going to get toxicology tests. All that is gone. What we can do is we can make sure that Mica gets justice for everything that she went through, what other people are going through, what other crimes have been committed, such as the misappropriation of church funds, things that Mica, because we all want Mica with us. But now it's too late. But what Mica wanted to do is she wanted to expose JP for what he was doing and stop him. And that is the least I feel that we can do, is to carry on with what Mica was trying to do. If she can't do it, then we need to, don't let this die. Keep digging, keep searching. Let's do this for Mica. Okay? Because I feel like she took him down. Even though it's not over, and even though whatever way she passed away, she still took him down. Now, the pastor that nobody knew if you weren't from Myrtle Beach. We all know your name, JP, and we're all watching, and we're all digging, and we are all hoping, praying that everything comes out as it should and that you are stopped. All right. I appreciate y'all so very much. And now I don't have a voice anymore. But yeah. Comment. Let me know what you think, what's going on. And I will see you soon. Soon as something else comes up. Stay safe out there, y'all. You know, especially if you're in Indiana. I always say that. Whatever you do, just stay silky. Okay? See you next time. Bye bye.